Welcome. It is Africa This Morning, the 27th of February 2014. My name is Beryl. Ooro. Let's start the bulletin with a look at the top stories.
Border operators. Motorcycle operators will not be allowed to operate after 6 p.m. according to the Inspector General of Police. Egypt's new Prime Minister. Ibrahim Maleb, appointed as new Prime Minister, says that he wants to crush terrorism, pave the way for investment and return tourism. Crimea's woes. Following the recent political upheaval, the mainly Russian-speaking territory fears reprisal due to their strong Russian ties.
France's foreign minister has said there would be a genocide raging in the Central African Republic if Paris had not sent its troops to aid in the journey of reinstating peace in the Central African Republic. This came just hours before Parliament voted to extend the foreign military's mission.
The issue has divided French lawmakers, but the vote to extend Operation Sangaris, whose mandate is due to expire in April, is expected to pass easily in both houses. The number of French peacekeepers is expected to rise from 1,600 to 2,000 to support a 6,000-strong African Union force. The European Union plans to send 1,000 troops to the country. A French minister said the deployment would start next month. Several international officials, including Adama Dieng, the UN advisor on the prevention of genocide, had warned last year that the country risked descending into genocide. That sparked deadly violence between the Christians and Muslims that has uprooted 1 million people out of a population of 4.6 million. Meanwhile, France has drawn up a list of 8 citizens of Central African Republic, including former President Francois Bozize, on whom it believes the United Nations should impose sanctions. Relief organizations have warned that the flight of Muslims, who controlled a large share of trade and farming, could exacerbate a major food crisis in what was already one of the world's poorest countries before the conflict.
Ibrahim Maleb, who was appointed as Egypt's new prime minister after the resignation of the cabinet, says he will crush terrorism, create structures that will pave the way for investment and re-establish the tourism sector. Outgoing Egyptian housing minister Ibrahim Maleb promised to eradicate the increasing militant violence that has rocked the country upon his appointment as the new prime minister. Speaking after his appointment by Adli Mansour, Maleb said he hoped improved security will lead to economic recovery.
Security is on the top of the list. Security and stability everywhere in the nation. Also preventing terrorism, because this will pave the way to investments and the return of tourism.
The new prime minister hopes to form his government within 3 or 4 days.
Regarding the time period of appointing a new cabinet, it will be in the shortest time period possible as per the orders of the Honorable President. As I told you, we do not have to waste time. We are in a decisive moment. God willing, 3 to 4 days.
He said his government would work to provide secure climate for a presidential election, but also urged patience from a population desperate for economic improvement. Maleb is a civil engineer who was formerly the head of Egypt's biggest construction firms. The mainly Russian-speaking territory of Crimea in Ukraine has become a topic of intense discussion following recent political upheaval that has rocked the country, with the residents of Crimea fearing reprisal due to their strong Russian ties.
Russia's Black Sea Fleet is on the move in Ukraine. Soldiers are protecting Russian properties in Crimea, where the fleet is based. Fleet officials also fear reprisals against the 60,000 Russian-speaking Ukrainians and Russian nationals living in Sevastopol, Ukraine. Some residents there are signing up for self-defense groups. The fear of reprisals stems from the geopolitical nature of the country. People in the Russian-speaking East tend to sympathize with Moscow, which supported the recently ousted President Viktor Yanukovych. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian-speaking West favors greater independence from Russia. Ukraine's parliament has already raised concerns about signs of separatism. A National Security Council meeting was held Tuesday to address the concerns.
Kenya's President Ooro Kenyatta visited South Sudan as part of his efforts to bring peace to the nation. This follows Tuesday's National Security Council meeting that recommended the deployment of KDF soldiers to the country. Yesterday, the National Security Council recommended the deployment of an additional 310 troops to South Sudan. Kenya had deployed troops to South Sudan last year to evacuate Kenyan nationals who were stranded in the country. The Council noted that additional deployment is necessary to increase the current strength to 1,000 troops. Paralympic champion Oscar Pistorius, who went from golden boy to murder suspect on Valentine's Day last year, is due to face trial for killing his girlfriend. A South African judge ruled that the murder trial of the Olympian and track star will be televised.
A South African judge has ruled that the murder trial of Oscar Pistorius will be televised to the world. The 27-year-old Olympic and Paralympic athlete, a double amputee commonly referred to as Blade Runner, has admitted to shooting his girlfriend, model Riva Steenkamp, at his Pretoria home on Valentine's Day of last year. But he also said that it was a terrible accident and that he had mistaken her for an intruder. A representative from Prime Media Broadcasting called the decision to televise the trial a victory.
And we believe the decision today will go a long way in bringing the trial not only to the people of South Africa but people across the world. We know that the Oscar trial has interest in every corner of the world, and come Monday we will ensure that the sound and the visuals are made available, and we believe it's a beginning for our courts to really change their mindset. So this is a victory, it's a real victory for our courts and the people of South Africa.
The Paralympians' legal team opposed broadcasting the trial on the basis that it would be intrusive. But local media argued that it ought to be televised under the freedom of information principles of the country's constitution. The trial is slated to begin March 3rd.
As the Kenyan government finalizes new regulations to govern border operations, the cyclists want to be involved in the crafting of the new rules before implementation. The regulations are aimed at improving safety and security in the sector.
Inspector General of Police David Kimayo had indicated on his Twitter account that motorcycles commonly referred to as border will be allowed to operate between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. He revealed the Ministry of Transport is developing rules and regulations to govern the thriving motorcycle transport sector, these in a bid to curb rising insecurity and ensure safety of both the riders and their customers. Border operators across the country have been protesting against insecurity. Police, on the other hand, say people are being mugged by thugs who use the motorcycles to flee crime scenes. Some operators were ready to work with the police to ensure security is maintained.
It's not a bad measure, although it affects the industry, but there's nothing we'll do about it, because the security is more important than even that time. I think that's a good ample time from 6 morning to 8 in the evening. Me, I don't see any, as far as security is concerned, even though I'm affected, there's nothing we can do about it.
Kama ni bike isipakwa rangi, kama ni blue itajulikana hiyo ni bike ya Nairobi, hiyo ni ya blue.
Let them ask us to color them and give us numbers so that when one is caught smuggling or in a criminal act, the color and number will make it easier to trace. We are ready to work with the police on insecurity matters, but let the Inspector General see us.
Na sisi tunaweza tuko tayari kucooperate na yeye kama ni issue ya hiyo security.
The motorcycle operators have been directed by the Inspector General of Police to only operate from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., a move that has not been welcomed very well by many.
wale watu watakuwa wakisafiri usiku, nani watakuwa wakiwasafirisha, biashara zitakuwa zinafanya
those
kazi.
who work at night, who will be carrying them to their homes? We only carry people to their offices in time. How will Nairobi attain the planned 24-hour city, since motorcycle is the fastest means of transport in the city? This directive could have worked well in the rural areas. Traffic police need to do another job, since most muggers have no licenses. They use the stolen motorcycles to mug.
Wakati wanafanya kazi yao, sana traffic, kwa sababu they don't have that check about the motorbikes. Kuna watu wanaiba pikipiki, unakuta huyo mtu hana license, na hao ndio one of wao wakora wale wenye wanafanya kazi nazo.
A section of those who used boda are however against the directive.
Watu wanatumia hizo kwa sababu ya insecurity.
People use boda because of insecurity. They want to be taken to their home doorstep. Because of this directive, security will be very bad, and in Nairobi, some people leave work at 6 p.m. and others at 9 p.m. What will they do?
County governments have already started implementing tough measures to regulate the thriving mode of transportation, which is used by commuters to beat traffic jams and are cheaper than taxis. For Ebru African News, I'm Miriam Kanyugo.
Commercial banks in Kenya will have to change their engagement models with their clients to social media, as this has emerged as the most preferred channel of communication. This method has surpassed the old models of communication like telephone calls, SMS alerts and emails. Ebru Africa's news reporter Agnes Gakunga had this report.
A survey carried by the Kenya Bankers Association in various parts of Kenya indicates that 9 out of 10 respondents prefer communicating with their bank through social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter and WhatsApp. Unfortunately, only 19 banks out of the 43 commercial banks operating in Kenya engage their customers through social media, denying many clients the opportunity to communicate with their banks.
It's not like the threat of automation, that there's a possible link of automating and therefore some jobs falling off. But social media, I mean, is a way of extending the avenues through which the bank can be able to communicate with the consumers directly.
Though social media will provide a platform where many clients will get to know more information about different banking products, the channel is seen as somehow sensitive, with only 40% of the respondents indicating willingness to share their account details online.
More than half of the respondents actually log on these sites daily. More than half. And then another 30% log on hourly. And from the survey results that you'll see, we actually have the charts showing the frequency at which the consumer public log onto this platform.
The Kenya Bankers Association has unveiled a new product dubbed My Chat with a Bank CEO, which targets the banking public. This product provides the rare opportunity where clients will be able to have chat sessions with their bank's chief executive officers about banking in Kenya.
Members of Parliament from sugarcane growing areas in Kenya want the government to seek an extension of the COMESA safeguards to protect the local sugar industry. The MPs have accused the government of neglecting the sugar sector, which is facing challenges of high cost of production, inefficient factory operations, inadequate sugarcane supply, incomplete privatization, and low product diversification.
In Kenya, you produce at $700 US dollars per ton. You cannot compete. If COMESA sugar lands in Mombasa, it will sell cheaper than the locally manufactured sugar.
The government really serious about protecting the sugar industry.
The safeguards have been extended 4 times. What we are calling for now might not be a very good solution, but it's the only one we have on the table for a 5th extension.
The only way we are going to save this sugar industry is by the government waiving the liabilities that the sugar factories have at the moment.
French firm Citizen Sciences has unveiled a new smart sensing fabric that can monitor the health and fatigue of the wearer. Microsensors woven into the fabric measure the heart rate, body heat and respiration levels, relaying live data to a smartphone together with their motion and location via GPS technology.
The fabric joins an expanding range of connected devices unveiled at this week's Mobile World Congress, measuring everything from sleep patterns and calorie intake to distance walked and exercise taken. The technology is invisible to the naked eye and took the company 10 years to develop. Although it is primarily aimed at athletes, CEO Jean-Luc Errand says it has broader applications too.
It's important not only for the sports of course, because we can see a lot of people like measure everyday activities for the elite, but also for everybody. And we think it's a good response to avoid to have all the devices on your body.
Procter & Gamble company has brought the dentist into the bathroom with the world's first smartphone connected toothbrush, a device that gives personalized advice to help people improve their brushing. The toothbrush to be sold under P&G's Ooro brand and which will be widely available from June has a Bluetooth 4.0 link to a smartphone app, which displays brushing progress in real time, telling the user when to move to a different part of the mouth and warning if they are brushing too hard. The auto industry is another sector aiming to harness the growing popularity of smartphone connectivity. Ford has revealed a new in-car voice-activated system that will become a standard part of Ford's upcoming vehicles. The decline of traditional telephonic communication like voice calls and text messaging has forced the industry to aim its latest technologies at an audience that is always on. The rise of smartphone apps like WhatsApp and Snapchat saw instant messaging overtake traditional texting in 2013 as the number of SMS sent in the UK fell for the first time ever.
On the roof of Gaza City's Children's Hospital, a pristine row of solar panels gleam in the sunlight, an out-of-place symbol of modern clean energy in the impoverished strip.
Like many 8-year-old girls, Rola Hossein likes cartoons and is scared of the dark. But Rola lives in the power-deprived Gaza Strip. So to keep her happy, her father had to take matters into his own hands.
One time we had electricity for 8 hours, but then during the night, no electricity, so we were afraid because of the darkness. After that, my father got solar energy, and now we have light.
Here in the Gaza Strip, most people turn to generators during energy shortfalls. But Israeli and Egyptian blockades have meant shortages in basic goods, including gasoline to run generators, making it increasingly expensive to keep the lights on. A solar system costs between $1,000 and $3,000, but Rola's father sees it as money well spent since it's quieter and safer than a generator. For others, it serves even more desperate needs. At the Al Nasser Children's Hospital in Gaza City, loss of power for even a single minute could mean life or death for babies in the maternity ward depending on incubators.
Electricity was being cut off for more than 12 hours, sometimes 18 hours. We're able to use solar energy to generate electricity for 24 hours for the nursery and to power all the machines, and this has eased the strain on us.
The Ministry of Energy wants solar power to play a bigger role in the strip.
The sun is the first pillar for producing electric power, and we are aiming at the Energy Authority to make solar energy the source of 20% of our electric power by the year 2020.
Solar power could definitely relieve the energy strain on the Palestinian territory, but it's not easily available. Most are remnants of shipments that were smuggled in through tunnels from Egypt before Egypt's military shut them this past year.
And on that note, we come to the end of the Bulletin on Africa this morning. Join us shortly as we take a look at the leading stories on the social media platform with Cherotich Kinei.